Okay, let's just jump right into today's explainer because we're looking at something pretty massive. Anthropic just dropped a brand new initiative built specifically to support the actual day-to-day craft of great teaching. It's called Claude for Teachers, and honestly, it is a huge step forward in how artificial intelligence can genuinely serve educators in a way that's meaningful, highly structured, and most importantly, safe. So to make sure we cover all the bases today, here's a quick look at the agenda. First, we'll hit on the teaching time crunch, then introduce Claude for Teachers. After that, we'll see Claude in the classroom, dig into privacy and student safety, and wrap up with AI fluency and access. All right, let's start with part one, the teaching time crunch and navigating those classroom realities. Anthropic didn't just build this tool in a vacuum. They were trying to tackle one fundamental question. Why is great teaching so incredibly hard to scale? I mean, we've got decades of solid research showing us exactly what works in a classroom. We know for a fact that mastery-based learning and small group instruction reliably boost student achievement. But actually pulling that off consistently for every single kid, for most teachers, that feels practically impossible. And there's a brilliant way to conceptualize this gap. Think about our educational best practices. Things like deep differentiation, mastery-based learning, and small group focus. Now crash that into actual classroom realities. We're talking stretch budgets, way oversized classes, and lesson planning that constantly bleeds into your evening hours. Those proven methods require a sheer amount of time that modern school realities just do not allow. And as research constantly points out, this strain hits under-resourced schools the absolute hardest. That exact gap, that is what Claude for Teachers is aiming to close. Which brings us to part two. Introducing Claude for Teachers as a dedicated solution. The absolute biggest takeaway here is that Claude for Teachers gives verified K-12 educators in the US totally free access to premium Claude capabilities. But listen, this is not just another generic AI chatbot. It's a highly tailored resource wired directly into evidence-based curricula. We're talking trusted, gold standard materials like OpenSciEd and Illustrative Mathematics IM version 360, built right into the system's knowledge base. And I really want to highlight the number 50 here, because through a direct connection to a platform called Learning Commons, Claude is hooked into the academic standards of all 50 states. That is huge. It means when you ask it to help draft a lesson plan, you aren't just getting generic fluff. It pulls the specific fine-grained learning competencies beneath your exact state standards, making sure the whole lesson is rigorously aligned and scaffolded in the order students actually need to learn them. What's also super impressive is the sheer ecosystem it plugs into. You can connect Claude to a massive range of K-12 tools right this second. Need to build a lesson? It talks to Brisk Teaching, DifIt, and Magic School. Designing some interactive visuals? It's integrated with Canva Education and CoTeach. Or if you need auto-scored math problems and real-time student insights, it connects with Assessments, Edie, Snorkel, and TeachFX. Basically, you get to use Claude's advanced reasoning power right inside the tools you and your students are already using every day. Let's move right along to part three, Claude in the classroom and its practical applications. Let's look at differentiation. Every teacher knows what it's like to have students at completely different readiness levels sitting in the exact same room. Well, instead of manually rewriting a single lesson 3 different times, which, let's be real, takes forever, you can just ask Claude to adapt the materials for you. It builds out a personalized differentiation plan, including the student-facing materials. So it tweaks the scaffolding to make the content totally accessible for the kids who need that extra support, while simultaneously pushing and challenging the ones who are ready to sprint ahead. And the data analysis workflow is incredibly cool. Because this ecosystem includes advanced features like Claude Code and Cowwork, the AI can actually take an entire task and carry it forward on its own. Imagine this workflow. You securely hand Claude a folder of class data, maybe your rosters, diagnostics, attendance, or personal notes. Then Claude crunches that data to build a really clear, comprehensive picture of exactly where every student stands. Finally, you take those insights and immediately tailor your instruction. And this isn't pie-in-the-sky stuff. These capabilities were stress-tested and refined using feedback from real classroom teachers, like the folks over at Prospect Schools in Brooklyn. Honestly, this next capability might be my absolute favorite. You can actually schedule repeated tasks. Just imagine automating those tedious daily chores. You can literally hand off a task, like reviewing a massive stack of 4 p.m. exit tickets to check for mastery, and tell Claude, hey, adapt tomorrow's lesson plan based on these results. You set it to run automatically every school day at 4 p.m. The AI does the heavy lifting of assessing today's mastery, and you finally get to walk out of the building at a reasonable hour and just drive home. Okay, moving to part 4, privacy and student safety, which are absolute non-negotiables. Anthropic is drawing a very hard line on K-12 privacy standards here. First off, this platform is for educators only. It strictly follows an 18 and over policy. Second, it operates under very specific U.S. K-12 teacher terms. Third, and this is a big one, the data you input is absolutely not used for model training. You have total control over what gets shared. On top of all that, student information is protected by a K-12 data processing addendum written specifically to comply with FERPA regulations. And this safety commitment is getting noticed at the highest levels. Randy Weingarten, the president of the American Federation of Teachers, actually pointed this out, saying, "It's important that Anthropic is committing to these principles in their new Claude for Teachers, a tool designed by and for educators." That quote matters a lot because it shows Anthropic isn't just guessing. They're actively collaborating with the AFT to make sure their terms and privacy practices hit the absolute gold standard for K-12 safety. Finally, Part 5, AI fluency and access, and how they are empowering the educator. So beyond just dropping software, they are putting out some major public goods. They just launched a brand new course called AI Fluency for PK-12 teachers. This was co-created with Teach for America, and it even features a Train the Trainer module built with the AFT. What I love is that the guidance is totally model agnostic, so it teaches you practical, responsible AI skills no matter what software you happen to be using. They're also opening up an open source repository of teaching skills for the community. And to make sure they're actually improving educator well-being, they are running a pilot evaluation right now on the ground in the Detroit Public Schools Community District. Let's talk about access, specifically the year 2027. If you are a verified U.S. educator and you sign up by June 30th, 2027, you are going to get a full year of this premium Claude for Teachers access completely free. Just a quick heads up, though. Ultimately, whether and how you can use educational data with Claude for Teachers comes down to your specific district and state policies. It's always best practice to check in with your administrators about data usage rules before you plug any new tool into your daily workflow. Which leaves us with one really provocative question to think about. How will you use your reclaimed classroom time? I mean, if an AI can securely churn through the daily exit tickets, draft the exact scaffolding for your differentiation, and perfectly align it all to state standards, the real question is what you do with all that protected time. Ideally, you step away from the late-night paperwork and get back to building those crucial human relationships with your students. Because let's face it, that is the absolute heart of learning. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope it really helps you navigate this rapidly changing classroom landscape.